Is there no Canadian tonight?
No,
Where's the Canadian? That's the whole reason I'm here.
What?
Yeah. You got two from
both.
Georgia. You get two of us from Georgia and no Canadians. It's a southern thing. Yeah, I'm in Valdosta.
Oh, I'm from Swanee.
See, Atlanta. So there you go. So what was the argument tonight? I know there was definitely an argument tonight, right?
What are we fighting on?
Chase.
But what?
Shane,
You and your roommate.
No, nothing. Don't even start with me. Don't even start.
You should not have had sex with your roommate. You do not.
Dude, Shane, chill, okay? Chill. Just chill.
It's okay if they're your roommate. It's okay if you have sex before they're your roommate.
Well, yeah, but never let them become your roommate. Once they're your roommate, like you can't do it. Even if they're your wife, then you got to be like, no, we can't do this. This is going to screw this relationship up.
So Akash gets here. Akash gets here, and the first thing he hears is never have sex with your roommate. And Akash is like, no,
That's good advice, though. I can't fault you for that.
Look, I'm old and wise. I try to teach Chase the right way to live. He doesn't always pay attention, so his house gets flooded. His dog gets locked out, and he gets into constant fights with people that he lives with. I'm just saying.
For like a solid hour at the expo, you thought my name was Akash.
Wow.
No, Shane.
No,
I was about to say.
I think
he
doesn't remember it.
He lives in
very, very drunk.
Yeah, he lives in Pennsylvania and didn't even realize that New York touched Pennsylvania. So there's that as well. So
I was amazed when we got to Ohio without going through another state. I did not understand what was going on. I mean, I still don't understand. I don't think it's true because I'm pretty sure that Pennsylvania is surrounded by New Jersey on all sides.
Right,
God,
right. Oh, Lord. Are y'all ready to get into this tonight?
Let's go.
Let's go.
This is Fantasy Intervention. Intervene with your fantasy life, Shane Manila, Jacob Sanderson, and Chase Vernon.
Mate.
What is going on?
Mate.
We are live. We are back. It is Fantasy Intervention. We have no Canadians tonight. We got two Southerns from Georgia. We have Shane and we have Chase. Chase, how are you doing this evening? You on mute still.
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing very well. I just trying to get everything straight and ready for this show to rock and roll, of course, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Shane, how about you tonight? How you doing?
I'm awesome. I'm excited to finally be not under the tyranny of a Canadian that tries to outwit us, tries to make us feel stupid when he uses his big words and his fancy analogies. I'm excited to have Akash here, one of my favorite people in the fantasy space. Great kid. And remember, folks, never bang your roommate.
You are just the worst. True. Well, Shane, thank you for introducing our special guest for tonight, Akash. How are we doing tonight?
I'm good. I just got back to Boston like 3 hours ago, set up everything, and I scheduled it. So first thing I did when I came here was recording this with y'all.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
What are you doing in Boston?
I go to school here.
That's right. So what were you home?
Yeah, for winter break. My winter break just ended.
Oh, damn, man. That's a long-ass winter break. You're on winter break until the 18th? That's crazy.
Yeah. My classes start tomorrow.
It's the northern thing. They had to have snow days. They got snow days involved in all that winter break stuff. So you know how it is, Shane.
Akash, what are you going to school for? Is it for what's that?
It's for chess. It's for fantasy football and chess. It's a combination of the two.
Yes.
Mechanical engineering.
His Rook 4 destroyed your Queen Bishop marksman. Yeah.
That's a very
Oh,
good
yeah.
sentence.
The
Okay.
move.
Yeah, I'm
Definitely
in
a
school
move.
for mechanical engineering. I'm a sophomore right now.
Oh, okay.
This is the exact reason why Shane hates the Canadians, because they're not acting smarter; they are smarter. Good Lord. Well, we had a great wild card weekend. Well, for some of us did. Some of us did not. That would be me. Divisional round is set. We got Jacksonville, KC, and New York, Philly on Saturday, and then Cincinnati and Buffalo, and then Dallas at San Francisco to cap it off Sunday night. I think other than Jacksonville, maybe the other ones were pretty much, we thought that would happen for the most part.
I don't know, man. That Bengals game, I think, was the biggest surprise for me out of everything. Obviously, like the fact that the Jacksonville Jaguars went down by 27 to start was shocking. I thought it was a closer game, but Jacob and I actually predicted that it was going to be a close game and that Jacksonville would come out on top. However, I did not expect whatsoever Baltimore to get as close as they did to beating Cincinnati. I mean, that was absolutely absurd to me. That was way more shocking than the other game.
Yeah.
Shane,
I agree.
Akash, yep, go ahead, Akash.
Yeah, so that game was one of them where the spread was not double digits, I don't think, but it was definitely pretty wide compared to some of the other ones, and it did end up pretty close. Where it's still a 7-point game, but without that defensive touchdown that happened, the 98-yard fumble return, it could have definitely gone different. And then the Bills game looked closer than I think it was. Like the Dolphins were set up very well on some fumbles, some like a punt return that just got him into field goal range, got him in the scoring range. But it was weird that the Bills, obviously we know they're a very good offense a lot of the time, but their offense can sometimes be kind of low floor just because Josh Allen has a phenomenal bozo gene that's fantastic for entertainment, but sometimes it leads to some red zone interceptions that kind of kill drives and give the other team a chance. And so, Dolphins couldn't really put it away because it's Skylar Thompson. But for the Bills to be effective against Cincinnati, like Cincinnati was not amazing on offense either. And so, I don't know. I think we're both going to see better performances from them both next week, but neither of them needs to have a performance like last week if they want to win.
Yeah, I think like you said, the Jacksonville wasn't as a big surprise. I think most of us were on the Giants because I think we all thought that the Vikings were a fraud anyway. But the one thing with Josh Allen, the turnovers, he's got to stop, right? That's just getting ridiculous when the way he's turning it over, the amount of times he's turning it over. So, and then the nightcap, Dallas, San Francisco. I guess it was pretty much 50-50. Even the book was like 2.5 points or whatever for Dallas, Tampa. But did you expect, because I sure didn't expect to see Tom Brady just, I mean, I know he had 300 yards passing, but hell, he threw it 70 times. He could have had 3 miles passing if they completed most of them. But man, he just did not look good throwing the ball.
That's been the story for the entire year. He led the league in attempts, but it's just been so inefficient. And so the yardage was there for the year, but he's throwing at like 6 to 6.5 yards per attempt. It's just not a winning formula. Like it's clear that the efficiency isn't there like it was last year. The offense just isn't clicking. And so, yeah, like you throw it 65 times for 350-ish yards, under 6 yards per attempt. Like, just retire, bro. Come on, it's over. And Dallas coming in, like I did not understand the 2.5 point spread. I thought it should have been much wider in favor of Dallas, just because they've been a far more efficient team offensively and defensively throughout the entire season. The Bucs finished the season at 8-9. They only got in because they won their division, which was a horrible division. And by all accounts, throughout the year, they were a bottom 16 team, maybe bottom 14 team.
Yeah, the biggest thing is the completion rate for Tom Brady under pressure. It isn't good. He's like 22nd in the league in accuracy rating, and I think 22nd in the league in pressured completion rate, according to playerprofiler.com. So, with Dallas being providing the most pressures in the entire NFL, I think they get pressures on the quarterback 38% of the time, 30% of the snaps, or dropbacks, I should say. We're talking about just a team that was set up for failure for the Buccaneers right off the bat. And the fact that Mike Evans couldn't do anything, they couldn't connect, they were off, page, whatever the case is. But let's talk some fantasy, man. Let's talk about
let's say hey to Jamie real quick in the chat. And there is your Canadian Toronto
Dave.
Oh, I like that.
What's up, man?
All right, so I wanted to get in some of these free agents, and not necessarily the actual free agents themselves, but the backup players that could possibly replace them, and then get into what like their fantasy value will be. So let's see what them coming in this year, going to getting into a bigger role, becoming fantasy relevant. Pivoting from the redraft mindset to the dynasty mindset, which I know Shane is all about. Some of these players, they may have been drafted in your rookie drafts, and depending on your league settings, been dropped due to waivers or whatnot. So I want to know what players we have to pick up and what players we definitely need to keep an eye on going further. And there's quite a few of them. So I want to touch on like the main ones. So I'm going to start off with running back. Probably one of the biggest names at running back that's going to be a unrestricted free agent this year. Running back 3 in PPR formats, 340 attempts, 1,600 yards, 12 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs. Zamir White was, I guess, his main backup. Played in 14 of the 17 games, but he only had 70 rushing yards, zero passing targets, let alone receptions. So let's start with Akash right here. And what is your outlook on Zamir White, assuming Josh Jacobs is moving on?
Yeah, it's hard to assume that he's going to move on, but if he was to, then Zamir White would probably see a little bit of a value bump just from community hype. Had some pedigree, even though he wasn't a good prospect. He had some hype coming out of college. In all reality, if Jacobs left, they'd definitely bring someone else in, and Zamir White would probably remain as a backup, like not even as a 1B, probably just as a backup. But he's still worth a stash, like as all backup running backs are. And I'm just gonna say this for pretty much everyone here. It's like if they're on your team, it's fine to hold them just because if something was to happen and the starter moves on, you can see a small value bump, and then you sell for more than you got them for. If you're making trades and it's close, you can ask for a guy like this on top and say, if you throw this backup running back on because I have the bench spots, then I'll do the trade. And then if Jacobs leaves, then maybe you sell him for an early third or a late second, which I'm absolutely fine with. I'd be ecstatic to get that in fact.
Shane?
Zamir White? Still talking about Zamir White?
For real.
Not worth anything.
I know.
You flip him immediately. As soon as any hype. If there's any hype that you can get out for a second, you get out. I mean,
in this class, even an early third, yes.
Yeah, we haven't seen many historically. We haven't seen many running backs where they just didn't play at all in their first season. Didn't see a target. I didn't know that he didn't see one target. I don't know how you don't accidentally see a target. Like you would have figured they would have like tried to throw to Darren Waller, but maybe the wind hit it and it would have went towards him, and that could have counted as a target. But I guess not. No, the dude's he's just flip him, just move him. That's any of those running backs. That's what's his name, Khalil Herbert in where do you call that place? Chicago.
What?
Justin Ebner. Any of these people, any of these names that people think like, oh, now it's his dude. They're late round running backs. Late round running backs aren't good.
Dude, not Herbert. Maybe Ebner,
no.
not Herbert.
Dude, here's the thing with fantasy, right? Now you have to be absolute. I mean, for the most part, because if you start picking and choosing, well, then you find reasons to like everyone. All right, well, Zamir White, without Josh Jacobs there, in theory, should see every touch that Josh Jacobs saw last year. And even if he's like, I don't know, 70% of Josh Jacobs, that's still like an RB10.
Did you guys?
You're very lucky a certain Canadian isn't here to fillet you.
Right.
So wait. I'm just curious. Did you guys already discuss if Josh Jacobs, if you guys think he's actually going to move on?
Yeah, it's like hypothetical if we knew he was.
Do you know what a hypothetical means?
Yes, but what do you guys think that he will? First off,
I don't.
No,
I think
so.
there's a better chance that most of these running backs just get tagged.
Yeah, I think Josh Jacobs get tagged.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree.
So I'm
one more year.
I'm moving Zamir White for that reason. I don't think that a guy like Miles Sanders gets tagged, who I think we're going to talk about here in a little bit. But I think Josh Jacobs has a pretty significant chance of getting tagged just because it is cheap. So Zamir White, I'm moving off of for sure.
Yes.
And if they end up not going that route, then they're going to draft 3 running backs in this upcoming draft with all late round picks and just see which one pops.
Well, the other side of that too is Damian Harris is also a free agent, and there's a great possibility he could end if they do decide to move Josh. I think that's a Josh McDaniel move is go get my guy from New England.
There's a lot of good running backs in the free agency for them to pick up, and a lot of good guys in the draft. So if someone's a backup right now, the influx of talent from the draft, as well as all the guys moving around in free agency, I don't expect many, if any, of the current backups to even enter like 1B roles. So it's just hold for now. Or even sell it on the hype if you can, but I don't know. I don't know anyone like going out and like purposely sending seconds for Zamir White or like even thirds. But like also something like the exact reverse of what I said, where if someone is like, I'll only do this trade if you add Zamir White, just do it. Who cares?
Yeah, true.
Right on. All right. So then we'll talk about Miles Sanders right here. Another unrestricted free agent, running back 15, 259 attempts, a little over 1,200 yards, 11 touchdowns. In the receiving game, he was 20 of 26, 78 yards, nothing major.
78, Jesus.
Kenneth Gainwell. I mean, 17 games.
Gainwell.
50
You were just the
attempts,
one talking about
240
selling guys. Come on.
244 touchdowns.
Now you're picking and choosing. Shane was right.
But here's the thing, though. Receiving for Miles Sanders, 20 of 26. Kenny Gainwell is 23 of 29. Sanders was 78 yards. Gainwell had 170 yards. Going into his third year, 23 will be his third year. So the resident Eagle, Shane.
Oh, me.
Are you keeping a hold of of Kenneth Gainwell?
Only because I can't even trade him for anything of value. Like I'll hold him over a fourth because, on a bye week, week 16, when there's 30 injuries as well, and I need a running back to start, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to flex Kenny Gainwell and hope that the Eagles randomly give him a goal line touch for no specific or valid reason, which is what they've tended to done with him in his career. What they've done with him so far in his career. He's not good.
What?
He's a role player. He's a nice role player. I'll say that. He's fine for what he does, which is
do you think
like diet Naeem Hines?
Yeah.
And that's
do you think if they gave him the opportunity that he could be he's not a
quick. No.
Like if you have 1 week, like hypothetically in this last season, if Miles Sanders went down for a random week and you're like, okay, Kenneth Gainwell's going to split snaps with Boston Scott for rushing, and then he's going to get 70% of the receiving, then I'll throw him in my flex. But on a whole season, he's not going to be a starter.
Right. You could probably do that with him like
don't forget it, Thomas.
In a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you go, Thomas.
No. Kenny Gainwell is an absolute monster. He's an athletic freak, and he's somebody that could absolutely break out. He's a guy that's needed time because he got switched over to the wide receiver position because he's good with the ball in his hands, and he's highly athletic. So they wanted both him and Tony Pollard and Antonio Gibson, on the field at the same time. But he ended up beating Gibson out in terms of the running back situation. And Gibson's a 230-pound back because this dude is literally an athletic freak. Oh, my God. If Kenny Gainwell, if somebody tries to move Kenny Gainwell, I will give up an early third or late second in a heartbeat for Kenny Gainwell. I love Kenny Gainwell moving forward, and I do not think that the Philadelphia Eagles had the money nor the opportunity to give Miles Sanders an extension, and I highly doubt that they're going to end up drafting a running back early with the type of offense they want to run. They want to go 70% of the pass, so they want to go past 70% of the time. So we're going to see Kenny Gainwell involved in the offense a lot more in terms of pass catching.
Could I just a quick question? I was just curious.
No, put your hand down. You don't get any questions.
I know Miles Sanders is there now, but is there any reason that Kenny Gainwell couldn't have carved out any of what you've just described previously?
Because Miles Sanders is really, really good.
Okay, because Miles Sanders doesn't actually get any targets.
I thought you said that Kenneth Gainwell was really, really good.
He is, but he needed to develop. He's raw. He's very raw. He needs to develop.
He was basically a high school player this year.
Yes,
also, I'm checking his
high school player with college level athleticism.
So you don't, Chase, you don't think
the score right now, it's probably like 6.
You don't
What?
think that there is a chance that at the number 10 overall pick?
No, because that's not the type of
Bijan
offense they want to
Robinson,
run.
let's go.
No, that's not the type of offense they want to run. They
Oh,
want to
yeah.
pass. They want to pass. They force themselves to run. They get caught and they're like, "Oh shit, we forgot to
Well,
run the ball this game."
But here's the difference. It's
Miles
Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders gets 26 targets for 78 yards. I mean, you get Bijan one target,
That's
he
'cause
can
he's
go
a
for
horrible-
78 yards.
Yeah, Miles is a
Just
horrible pass
saying.
catcher, to be fair. Okay, Kenneth Gainwell, athletic freak Kenneth Gainwell has a relative athletic score of 5.72.
Low.
Athletic.
He's
freak.
he's not an athletic freak. I love this film. I'm not gonna lie.
But
I'm
He was a
trying to
fifth
play-
rounder. Like,
the
he had a
Eagles
lot of
don't-
hype, and then no team wanted to draft him for the entirety of 4 rounds, and then he was a fifth rounder.
Yeah,
He's
so-
a fifth rounder without size, who's a mediocre athlete, and has not done anything in the NFL so far. He's just another Zamir White.
No, here's the reality of Kenneth Gainwell. Just to be honest, you know, I guys know I like to pump up Kenneth Gainwell just because I loved him coming out of college before he ended up testing. And when he tested, he did not put up the numbers that he looked like he should have put out at the combine. And so pretty much like after you ended up seeing the lack of athleticism in combination with the college dominance at a lower level, you kind of figured, oh wait, he really doesn't know how, or he's really not that gifted at playing football. So yes, for a third round pick, I would take Kenny Gainwell because you know that he's going to get the usage if he ends up getting hurt. Boston Scott is older on the downturn of his career. I don't see them bringing in 2 running backs, and I do see them getting rid of Miles Sanders. So although I do see the Philadelphia Eagles likely drafting a running back in the 3rd round, somebody like a Tank Bigsby, I still think that Kenneth Gainwell is going to see opportunity, and he's going to be that second guy on the chain of command for the running back position for the Eagles next year.
So you think the second guy is going to be valuable in the Eagles offense? They're not going to. The second guy is basically what Kenneth Gainwell was this year. He could have absorbed every Boston Scott touch, including on the kickoffs, and still not been fantastic.
I would rather punt it and then draft a running back in the 3rd round of my rookie draft, and then hopefully I can land someone who can win a starting job.
So you end up with Zamir White.
Sometimes you end up with Ramondre or Elijah Mitchell. You take that dart roll because you already know that Kenneth Gainwell's not going to be the guy.
You re-roll exactly.
Yeah,
right.
Like Gainwell was a fine like late 2nd, early 3rd a couple of years ago. He had some pass catching chops, had some Devi love, but now it's not happening. You've seen it in the NFL not happen. So just re-roll, take your 3rd, go get another running back. Hope you can hit some.
All right, so we're going to move on to the next one. Running back 8 on the year. 193 attempts, 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns. Receiving, 39 of 55, 371 yards. Tony Pollard, free agent out of Dallas. Assuming Zeke is still there and Tony Pollard leaves, and then the backup would be Malik Davis out of the University of Florida. 12 games this year, 38 attempts, 161 yards, and a TD. He did have a couple receptions, 6 of 7 receiving for 9 yards, nothing major. Any interest in Malik Davis in the Cowboys offense behind Zeke, or even, I guess it would be Zeke because he's not going anywhere.
Zeke's probably going to get cut this year. I think.
Jerry Jones, stop with the slander. Jerry Jones is in love with Zeke, and he is not cutting that boy from Ohio. That is not happening.
He loved him so much he benched him throughout the year for Tony Pollard.
That was Mike McCarthy. Jerry Jones was pissed up in the booth.
So,
as our resident Canadian would say, TP better. Come on, man.
Dude, they can save $40 million if they cut Ezekiel this year. I still think that I think they're going to cut Ezekiel Elliott. I don't think it's any question outside of maybe restructuring the contract. I do think that Tony Pollard takes on the lead role. They resign him, or they end up drafting a guy early and they pull another one of Jerry Jones's moves where he goes after a running back in the late 1st round. So I'm going to be off of Malik. I don't really think we need to spend too much time on it, to be honest.
Yeah, he's fine just because they had the 2-headed monster. So when one of them missed time, they just didn't care about their RB3. So just some random practice squatter. But if they're gonna have plans to move on from one of those guys, Pollard or Zeke, then they're gonna bring in someone. They'll probably draft someone rounds 4 to 6, and then you can draft them in the 3rd round. Your rookie drafts. If you can sell Malik for any 3rd, obviously take it, and I'd even take a 4th.
Okay. All right, then we'll move on to Saquon Barkley, RB5 on the year. 1,300 yards, 10 TDs, receiving 338 yards. He didn't have a touchdown in the receiving game, which was to me, it was a little weird when I saw that stat. The Matt Breida is also a free agent, so it looks like the only one that's going to be in that backfield right now is going to be Brightwell.
Finally.
I know I've been waiting on that one.
Yeah,
and don't sleep on Joshua Corbin either. Come on.
I was going to say, is Brightwell like in the same, Kenny Gainwell, Brightwell, they in the same little well themselves? Are they the same person?
No,
I'm willing to say
much better.
He's less than one standard deviation away from Malik Davis.
I will definitely take Kenny Gainwell over Gary Brightwell. So congratulations, Chase. You won that battle.
Hard fought.
Win.
Right. Up a lot of a fight.
Ding, ding, win.
No, I mean, honestly, like I'm more curious as to what the Giants do, because the rumors out were that the Giants wanted to move him before the season, right? And they just couldn't find a trade partner. They couldn't make the money work.
That's because of injuries, though, and then narratives around all that. Like that after that season, like everyone loves him. The team loves him. Fans love him. They're gonna bring him back. At least tag him.
Yeah, they're tagging him. I think, and that's the rumor towards the end of the season, is that they were going to tag him, which makes the most sense, right? You just kick the can. You're like, all right, let's try this for another year. You're a running back. I'm not going to give you a long-term deal. That's just silly and abhorrent. So I'll just go ahead and tag you, pay you $12 million. If you blow your knee out, whatever, we'll move on from you next year.
Can they use the transition tag and the franchise tag in the same year? I don't think you can.
Don't think so.
Yeah, you can use multiple tags. I'm gonna actually see if that's true.
Yeah, because they'd also have to. They also have something, whether they re-sign or tag Daniel Jones as well.
Daniel Jones is the guy that I think that they would use the franchise tag on, not Saquon Barkley. I think Saquon Barkley needs to get paid, and honestly, like I think there's a world where Saquon Barkley also sits out this year if he gets tagged. So I don't know that the Giants do that. If anything, they would do a tag and trade with a team that needs a running back, and they would get a wide receiver, a la David Johnson. Find a dumb team like the Texans to take on aging running back with a massive contract. I mean, maybe the Texans would even do it, but it depends on who they bring in. But I mean, if Cliff Kingsbury was still coaching, I would say Cliff Kingsbury would do it. I don't know. I think that they need wide receivers, and I think that they know that. I think they're going to use their draft picks on it. I think they're going to give Daniel Jones one more year in this offense. So for me, it's more as if like, okay, are they going to bring in two veterans to take over, and which team would take on Saquon and that contract? I don't think he's going to be with the Giants next year unless it's a team-friendly deal.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Google is telling me that you can only use one or the other.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the case.
But if it's on the internet, it's true, Chase. All right, Shane, it's true.
Tagging Saquon could mean Daniel Jones gets like 3 years, like
120 million for Daniel Jones.
Yeah, they would not. There's no way. Maybe 2 years guaranteed with one voidable year.
He's quarterback like 9 on the year.
Like the Tannehill thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
I think great. Did you guys see the no-look pass, by the way? The no-look pass. That is all Brian Dable. Brian Dable all day.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a fantastic system, and it's great to see
it is.
Who's running it well. Just because, like at the beginning of there, he's drawing like comparisons to some of the worst quarterbacks in the league, and this year has been fine. It's nothing flashy, but it's definitely running the offense well, and definitely something that I think they try to keep together, both of them.
All right, Chase, I need you to do me a favor right here, and let's do this ad read right quick. You got all the equipment behind you. Let's see what you got tonight. I gotta get the time down.
I wasn't expecting this.
I know, but you got to showboat a little bit.
All right. This is actually too heavy to pick up with the belt. No, so if you guys dominated your fantasy league, if you're in a dynasty league, right, that needs a little spark, right? A little incentive to actually set your rosters each week. A little kink. If you want a little kink, if you want some fetishes to get into in the bedroom with some belts and some metal and some hardware, you need to head over to Trophy Smack, TrophySmack.com. Once again, that's TrophySmack.com. Pick yourself out a big trophy or a championship belt. I got both right here for you. If you guys use promo code ADVICE, starting tomorrow, you'll be getting 10% off. That's right, 10% off of any purchase you make. We were doing free rings with the purchase of a trophy or belt, but instead we're going to switch it up because we are going into the off season. Wait till tomorrow afternoon. Go purchase. Use promo code ADVICE. ADVICE. Promo code advice. You'll get 10% off your order. We have everything from trophies to belts to rings and hold on,
Some wall smack.
wall smack. So this is cool because you actually have magnets, right, that you stick on your walls and they don't damage your walls. And then you can switch out any type of art that you want on there. So if you're going to, sit there with your boys watching fantasy football and you want to let everybody know that you hate them, you throw up grandma with the middle finger. Meanwhile, you switch it up to a family-friendly photo when mom comes in, or mom comes home, or your girlfriend comes home, and you want it to be classy. So you can actually switch it out without damaging your walls because it's the magnet that goes on the walls, and those don't damage your walls either. So go check it out over there, trophysmack.com. Use promo code ADVICE and get 10% off of your order.
Hey, when can you start using promo codes Trades in 5? Just curious.
I talked to your buddy about that, and unfortunately, you guys are working with somebody else. So,
well, that's awkward.
That's awkward.
and it's not even a good company either. That's the worst part.
Wow. So with
That's a
that,
beautiful
shots
setup,
fired.
though.
with that awkwardness, we'll move on to tight ends. One tight end. There's a few of them out there that are going to be free agents. The biggest one though is Dalton Schultz. He was top 10 tight end last year, top 11 this year. 57 of 89, 577 yards, 5 touchdowns. Once Dak came back from his thumb injury, they seemed to have a connection right away, especially in the games where Pollard was out. Jake Ferguson is his backup. With that offense, if Schultz moves on with the way they run the Mike McCarthy offense, from what I remember when he was in Green Bay, that the tight end was a valid or a viable play. Is Jake Ferguson a play that you want to hold on to? Let's start with Shane.
It could be Hendershot too, by the way.
I was actually going to say I'm all about Hendershot, but
It's probably neither.
With all the noise about the Cowboys wanting to go wide receiver, and a couple of the mocks that I've seen so far has had them walk away with like JSN. I don't know that tight end is going to be very useful, just because there's going to be that target squeeze between what's that guy's name? Oh, CD Lamb. And if you throw another receiver in there that's going to get 100 targets, plus Michael Gallup is your third, that's really going to put a squeeze on what the tight end can do. Like I'm sure they could have some CJ Uzomah weeks circa 2021, but I don't know that you'll ever know when they're going to hit.
I like that take, but I actually think that they might end up going after Chase Meyer in the first round. I think that they want somebody that can catch passes, and if they can get a tight end that does both without having to pay Dalton Schultz, I think that they could go that route, because the Cowboys don't have a history of signing Dalton Schultz. However, Dalton Schultz has played, or they don't have a history of signing tight ends. Dalton Schultz has performed well enough though over the stretch in order to earn himself a paycheck, and I don't think he's going to command like elite tight end status. So I don't understand why they wouldn't, invest in that position. If they don't want to spend the draft capital on that.
Yeah, because he has had the dud weeks. Schultz has had his dud weeks here and there.
Outside of being hurt, he's been pretty damn good. He's done exactly what the Cowboys want him to do.
He's okay.
Yeah,
he's all right. He's definitely had some down weeks. No, for sure some down weeks. I think on the season he averaged, I can do quick math, right? He averaged
not
38
Shane.
yards per game.
So.
Fantastic 38 yards per game. But no, he's not that good. He's okay. He's somewhere in the range of the like tight end 6 to 10, 20 that doesn't really matter and we don't really care about. And it's okay. Like if he moved on, he's at least decent to the point where like if you just can't plug in Hendershot or Ferguson in there and expect the same thing, they probably have to do someone bring in another tight end, like sign someone in free agency. There's plenty of guys out there with more of a resume than Hendershot and Ferguson, where if they move on from Dalton Schultz, you could draft someone, sign someone like that. And like those two guys are simply not, they don't project to be good at fantasy. And so But also for Schultz, if he moved on, I would be a lot lower on him for fantasy reasons, just because he is propped up by playing in this fantastic offense.
Okay, so like I guess last season he was talked about moving on like to San Diego at a point. So would it interest you if he was moving on to San Diego, the Chargers, the LA Chargers? So would it interest you if he was going to an offense that was just that potent? For instance, Evan Ingram is leaving or is a free agent as well.
I was
so he may
about
leave.
Ingram. You said
What's that?
Right, yeah. We were talking. You got Schultz on the sheet.
Right. No.
I'm
Yeah.
Right.
No, I'm saying like if okay,
you
so
think Ingram's better than Schultz?
Okay.
Ingram can't catch though. Akash,
Yeah.
I don't know if you're old enough.
Yeah, he's more athletic. He has a
Evan Ingram. Did you see
Bro,
this
it's
year?
been 3 years.
Yeah. Oh my God, he hasn't been able to catch. He was competing for the worst hands in the NFL with Dante Moncrief for years.
No, he did, but he showed up this year. He showed up his rookie year. He showed up this year for real.
What? It's not a bad bit.
Yeah.
Get out of here. All right,
so good basketball.
No, he
That's
cannot.
a very
catch.
bad bit. Come on.
Give me a minute to look up the stats, but I'm telling you, Evan Ingram had one of the worst hands in terms of drop percentage.
4.1% drop rate.
What, this year, right?
4.1% drop rate. Yeah, it's
this
like
year,
right?
Like
happened.
That's not career.
He has
like
4
he was
drops on the
like,
season.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like career long. He's been sitting around like 15% drop rate. His drop rate
like
is
also
absolutely
who
absurd.
cares? Who cares? Right?
Dante Moncrief does. Helen Winslow does. Brian Edwards, right? Was that his name? Brian Edwards.
Right, but like also like those guys have the flaws of not being good at football.
No, they were able to get open. They saw tremendous target shares.
So you want nothing to do. You want nothing to do with. You want nothing to do with Schultz. You want nothing to do with Ingram.
I love Schultz.
Okay, all right. So then let's go.
I'm sorry, you would take Schultz over Evan Ingram?
Yeah, in a heartbeat. Schultz is only like 24 years old or 25 years old.
No,
I mean, Ingram's
29. Yes, 26, and Ingram is 28
versus 26.
Yeah, I'll take those extra 2 years for a prospect that
at
has
tight end. You realize that 2 years is really negligible at that position in Dynasty, right?
No, it's not.
It's 1,000% negligible.
Come on, it is not negligible when you talk about 28 versus 26 because
1,000% negligible at the tight end position.
Typically, tight ends end up hitting their prime at the 26 to 27 year age range, and then after 28, if they end up dealing with an injury, if they end up going down, like the success rate of a tight end at the age of 28 to 33 is so all over the board due to injuries and whatnot. Like we could have a Gary Barnidge situation.
There's
just throwing injuries in here.
Stop.
But
There is clears those mids.
There is a player on the tight end list that I'm actually interested in discussing because I think he actually has a significant advantageous point to get onto a team that could allow him to hit that next level, and that's Irv Smith Jr. He was borderline hitting prior to this. He ended up dealing with an injury. Now he's a free agent. Like, give me Irv Smith Jr. all day for a late second, early third. I'm telling you.
What's his? I'm just wondering. What's his career high?
Irv sucks. There? He's horrible, man.
What's his career high?
I think it's like 12%, maybe 10%. He's awful.
You live on Player
awful.
Profiler, so I know that should just be ingrained in your head. What's his career high for target?
How do you not already know that?
He hasn't seen the opportunity.
That's not what I asked you. You earn opportunity.
He hasn't seen the opportunity.
You earn opportunity.
And he was great. He was great in the give me 1 second, okay? You guys are
his career high for target share is 13%.
You guys need to stop throwing facts at me and let me just throw conjecture.
His career high for points per game is 7.6.
Yeah, he's not.
Target
his career high for receiving yards is 360 yards.
Target rate this past year, and then in his rookie year was sitting at 19.3% target rate, where he had to share the field with Kyle Rudolph, and then
it was
and that's for a tight end.
Rate.
And then target rate was 21.1% in this past season. Yeah, but you're talking about tight ends that literally will seal the field on one game that are included in that target rate.
He ran 160 routes. He ran 160 routes. I would hope that you have at least some target rate on that, just because your target rate goes up when you run less routes because you have.
And even then,
that's not always true. Yes, that does happen. Yes, 160.
Yeah, it's a small sample, so you can't trust it for one. But even if you could trust it, it's something where
What about in 2019?
2019 is rookie season. Yeah,
Yes, it's rookie season when he was on the verge of eclipsing Kyle Rudolph's.
So here's what this is what I love this about.
Yeah, he had
fantasy.
he had a 19% target rate, which was
when a dude
78th.
has never produced, and you can't point to any numbers to show that he produced. You're just not you just like, I'm going to skip target share. I'm going to go with target rate because that
The best thing that Irv Smith.
The issue was the offense that he was in. The offense he was in was a 2 tight end set offense.
Was it in 2021?
The best thing that Irv Smith has done in his entire career was
2020.
at the very beginning of his career when he went to Alabama and got drafted in the second round. And since then, it's been nothing.
Alabama does have that effect on players. Get OJ Howard, get him up early and go. All right, let's move on from the tight ends. Let's talk about a couple.
Third for Irv Smith.
Let's talk about a couple quarterbacks.
Give me Irv Smith all day. I will go to war over Irv Smith. Let's do it. Gosh, we got to do it better at some point. We'll discuss it off the show, but we have to do it better something because I would love to place a bet with you on 23, depending on his landing spot and stuff like that. But I would 100% do some sort of fun bet.
We got to do it before the landing spot. That's what makes sense.
All right, fine. I'll do it before the landing spot.
All right, I already see.
Okay,
I see
over under 4 or 4.5 targets per game in 2023.
Well, all right. So I'm not. No, because I'm trading a third. I'm trading a lottery shot at this guy, right? Like I'm not trying to go out and acquire him for like an early second.
I have a better one.
He was going to see 4.5 targets per game.
Over under 70% target. Over under 70% route participation.
There we go. All right, so we'll move on. Let Chase think about that for a second. Let Chase think about that for a second. And we'll move on to quarterbacks right quick. First one I want to talk about is Geno Smith, quarterback 5 on the year, just out of nowhere, I think. 4,200 yards, 30 touchdowns, 11 receptions. Added another 350 plus yards on the ground with a TD. Drew Lock is also a free agent. So all signs lean to him re-signing. Yeah, for now. All signs show, that or lead at least that he's going to re-sign. Pete Carroll said he's wanting to re-sign him. Was this season a fluke? First of all, was this season a fluke for Geno Smith, Akash?
Probably a little bit, just to the magnitude of which he hit, but I do think that he is going to be continue to be a solid quarterback for them, and he's not going to just like go back to rookie Geno Smith. Probably, it's a good. He performed very well over the last year. I think the real debate comes from what they do at the quarterback position at the top of the draft, and even with their own pick, that's going to be like around the 20s ish, because I could definitely see them taking maybe CJ Stroud or like Anthony Richardson with the other first that's in the mid, like around 20. And so if they were to do that, like I think they should, just because Geno had a good year and like he played well and he didn't write back, and it's a good story. But if you don't have a franchise quarterback, you don't have anything. And right now they're in an NFC that's very weak. There's pretty much only a couple contenders that are very real in the NFC. And if you can get a franchise quarterback like at the top of the draft, you didn't expect to be here with Denver's pick. Like maybe you expected your own pick to be there, right? But then you have a chance to get a franchise quarterback like CJ Stroud. And then if he hits and you continue to build off of the fantastic draft class that you had over the last year, they have a lot of capital and they've already been hitting a lot of players a lot quicker than they thought they would. And so if you continue to build on this, you can be perennial contenders in the NFC for the next 10 years, the way that so many teams in the AFC are doing. You take advantage of the weak NFC right now and you really go at it, then I think that's something to be talked about if you're the Seahawks. But right now for Geno Smith, I think it is something where he gets re-signed to a shorter term deal, not like 4 or 5 years, but you probably look at like 3 years with 2 guaranteed, a la Tannehill a couple of years ago.
Jared Goff.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Shane?
I can't imagine that he's going to be a top 12 QB again. But I could see him being a top 15, top 20 QB. Considering what you paid for him in most leagues was you picked him off of waivers when you went Drew Lock is terrible. There's no way Drew Lock's going to be their starter, right? Not all year. I'm fine with holding on to him as my QB3 in my dynasty leagues. I mean, really, you can get by with him as your QB2. It's just I don't feel particularly safe. Generally, someone doesn't have a career turnaround at the age of, I don't know, 38 or whatever he is. What is he, 30?
33-ish, I think.
33, same difference. 33. After 30, it's all dead. It doesn't matter.
Hilarious, like the way he turned around, because he was awful as a rookie, and then just 10 years basically of doing nothing in the NFL, and now he's good starter.
Done no favors in the Jets organization. Like that you could not have started in a worse place. But yeah, I mean, look, the guy was really good this year. If Seattle holds on to him, there's really no reason to think that he'll be much, if any, worse than he was this year, to be honest with you.
Have you seen anyone point to him as a reason to believe in Zach Wilson? Because I feel like eventually we're going to see.
I was just fixing to go there because he was drafted by the Jets. The Jets have done this to Sam Darnold now. The Jets have done this now to Zach Wilson. Give it 10 more years, and Zach Wilson as a QB1. But you got to hold on to Zach Wilson for 10 more years.
Yeah, eventually in Dynasty, it's going to be hilarious. Within the next 10 years, we're going to see them draft a quarterback in the top 5. We're going to fade them to the end of the first round in Superflex rookie drafts, and they're going to end up being a perennial top 5 quarterback, and people are just going to be like, shit, we shouldn't have helmet scouted, and it's going to be so funny.
So I know that teams or fantasy analysts like to discount head coaching corollaries, right? Like, essentially creating a storyline for a coach that ends up making a quarterback successful or a wide receiver successful or running back successful, et cetera. But there are coaches that are out there that have a history of succeeding with certain players and with certain positions. So like we just watched Brian Dable, right? Who helped turn, Josh Allen, although it's partly Josh Allen, but we just saw Daniel Jones make the switch. We just saw Geno Smith come into an offense that's slightly more advantageous than the offenses that he's been in. Jared Goff ends up lining up in a great offense run by Ben Johnson. And maybe that was a fluke, but maybe that was actually, something real. But we've seen a history of certain coaches that succeed. And one of those coaches is Mike Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan. So Kyle Shanahan ends up getting his quarterbacks in advantageous situations. Now we see the same exact offense move over to the Jets, and I just don't see it happening with Zach Wilson without them finding a guy who fits their system perfectly and who runs a wide zone scheme perfectly and can put him into a position to succeed and not a position to lose every game. Breece Hall could have something to do with that. But back to the question with Geno Smith, I don't know why they wouldn't start him. They're in a spot where they could succeed. They could end up trading back, acquiring assets, especially on the offensive line where they didn't do too great blocking this past year. They can end up still moving on with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, who Tyler Lockett is likely to end up seeing some regression in terms of his age in comparison to athleticism. But I think that we could see Geno Smith have the same exact season as last year. I mean, he was very good at scrambling. He was like top 6 or 7 in scramble attempts in 2023. He was also, I think, top 6 or 7 in designed rushing attempts in 2023. So I think that we could absolutely see him in the same category as where he fit last year. I don't know why we wouldn't.
All right. Well, I still like Geno Smith. I think he can still be a top 15 quarterback. Tom Brady. I don't know if we've seen the last of him or not. Doesn't really matter. QB 12 for this year. Kind of like what we hit on earlier with the amount of attempts he threw. He did throw for 4,600 yards, almost 4,700 yards, 25 touchdowns, nine interceptions. Blaine Gabbert, his backup, is also a free agent. Is it Kyle Trask, the answer in Tampa, or is Kyle Trask even somebody you want to keep an eye on? Right now, Godwin, Evans, I believe Fournette, they're all still under contract. So Akash is like, I'm dying to answer this question. Get him off your roster. No, that's 4 questions or 4 words.
Kyle Trash, lol.
Yes.
It's just mean.
Like quarterback, man.
Also,
could be
Brady was QB 18 in points per game. We don't stand total points. He's a fraud. He's not a quarterback one anymore.
God, he looks so
Dust.
bad. He looks so bad. As
Yeah.
I guess overall for the year, I guess is the way they had it set when I was looking at it. But if Tom Brady moves on to whatever team, Raiders, Jets, whatever, does he still have any fantasy value? Chase?
No.
Zero.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like he couldn't be in a better situation than he is right now. We're talking about Tom Brady, right? Like there's no better situation he could have been in than having Mike Evans and Leonard Fournette. And I mean, maybe if he had a better tight end, the Chris Godwin's elite. He had Julio Jones, who's a shell of himself, but still above a wide receiver 4 for a team typically. And Russell Gage is good. Like it was just like Tom Brady was okay when they were on the same page. The issue is Tom Brady is now abrasive, similar to, or I should say, a la Russell Wilson. Like his teammates don't really like him anymore. They respect him, but he just doesn't have the same chemistry. And I will say, like there are ways that breakups and emotional distress can end up affecting your work life and your ability to study, your ability to concentrate, your ability to be on the same page as people. So maybe that did have something to do with it, with breaking up with Giselle. So I don't want to discount that because towards the tail end of the season, he actually did a lot better. Like he was startable towards the tail end of the season. Everything was feasible. Like, girls fuck with your mind and you can't focus on certain things from time to time. Like it is what it is. Like it's just the mental mindset. So maybe that was it, but I don't want to pay for him.
This is fantasy intervention. This isn't for you intervention. This is
no.
Drama
to do with
I'm sorry.
Let him
I'm
cook.
sorry
No,
that you're going through what you're going through.
No,
man. Look, I've been through it. I understand, bro.
I'm good. I'm a bartender, man. I've been bartending for years. I'm fine. But
I know, but you're not used to a roommate. So it's different when you have a roommate.
Get the fuck out of here. I'm just
Jamie's got
how good you are. Like other side issues with your life will have a drain on you. Like it doesn't, like it could be just distress. Like this is somebody that he was with for years and years, that he has kids with, that he has finances with, that, I mean, she's richer than he is, right? So like he has business deals tied up with her. There are so many other moving parts that we will never see that happen on a daily basis with him that he has to give his time and attention to. And honestly, like I think that definitely had a hole. Like we saw the arm strength from him throughout the season. We didn't see any physical decline. I don't know if you guys did, but I went through a few of the games. I'm like, dude, he hit that target, but like the target wasn't there because the target was running a different route. Like, and it was like 60 yards downfield. He still could throw the ball 60 yards. And that was an arm throw that I watched. So I don't think that he's seen a physical decline. It wouldn't shock me if he came back and he was relevant. So like if somebody's trying to like, if you're deciding, I should say, if you're deciding to drop him this offseason, don't drop him this offseason.
All right, let's go right here. You got Jamie is on the clock on a startup superflex 12th pick, 8 quarterbacks off the board, plus Jefferson and Chase. And I want to say, where'd it go? Lamb just went. So you got Dak, Watson, Murray, AJ Brown, Lamb. Okay, I'm sorry, Lamb's off the board. Or should I draft Bijan here?
It's either Watson or Bijan. I'm a thinker.
Startup 12th pick, 8 quarterbacks off the board, plus
AJ Brown.
Still 1 pick ahead of me.
No.
But my options are Dak, Watson, Murray, AJ Brown, Lamb, or should I draft Bijan here? Need 2. Well, it's a
Lamb is off the board.
Okay, it's a super flex.
Watson.
Yep.
Yeah,
I go Watson.
That is definitely Deshaun Watson. If you are scared of the personal stuff there, then I'm fine with Dak. But Watson to me is
it's either Watson or Bijan.
Well, you just made Jamie's night because he is a Cleveland Brown fan and now he got his quarterback.
Go get you some Watson.
The nasty man. I was just in a Superflex mock draft and I was picking, I believe, 8th. And I got in the first round, I got Chase at 8th, and in the second round at 205, I got Deshaun Watson. And I was like, I don't want to do it, but if the market forces me, I will have to keep drafting the nasty man.
Yeah. I mean, you have to. All right, I got a couple more. Kind of want to rapid fire these. Just kind of want to know if there's value or what would be the right situation for them to get the value for you to want them. Free agent right now, quarterback, Baker Mayfield. Any interest in Baker Mayfield at all? Chase.
first off, the last answer, the right answer was AJ Brown.
Yeah.
And then getting Bashan Robinson on the turn, or going Bashan and getting Robinson or Brown on the turn. Watson at this point, like I would much rather take some of these younger guys at quarterback for the upcoming year because I think we're going to see an influx of talent. But what was your question again? It was Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, any value to Baker Mayfield, and if there isn't, what would have to happen for him to gain value?
I would take a late third round pick for Baker Mayfield in a heartbeat. But if nobody wants to offer me that, and I'm like consider dropping him, I need to hear some noise that he could end up going. No, you know what I would need to happen? I would need to hear that that Matt Stafford is considering retirement on a serious note.
Okay. Yeah. And he's already
he already said he's coming back. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
There's no hope for Baker, dude.
I would hold on to Baker. Like I wouldn't drop him from my roster just because he has pedigree and people talk themselves into pedigree, especially coaches. And so I could definitely see him starting somewhere. And if he starts, you can flip him. So I would not drop him, but Jimmy G is much more attractive as far as potentially getting a starting job.
Well, Akash, go right there because that was the next one. Jimmy G. Go ahead, Akash.
I read the sheet, Jay.
Oh, wait, that's unusual because I'm not used to anybody reading the sheet except me and Chase. That's the only two people that ever read the sheet.
Yes. So Jimmy G, I think if you count out 32 quarterbacks, like if you just list them out, it's hard to leave Jimmy G off of it in terms of who's looking at a starting job next year. Just because people talk themselves into him. Like, yeah, we don't love Jimmy G at all, but he's a fine bridge quarterback. And so I could definitely see someone going after him and getting him. Like if the Jets want to do it and say like, he's our guy. He's going to like run the offense well while we have a defense that wins games and run the ball good. And then like, the Raiders, maybe, I don't know. There's a lot of teams out there that could use a bridge guy, and he could be it. So I would, if I have like a random third and I want a quarterback, then I'd be okay with trying to get him and get some usable weeks out of him next year.
All right, Shane, I'm going to go to you with the running backs. Deontay Foreman, Jamal Williams. Interest in either one, value in either one.
I love them both. I love old running backs that never die.
I know that's why I saved them for you.
I would collect every last one of them, and I know we're not on that topic, but I'm collecting all the high end old people too, like people that are going to be selling low on Dalvin Cook and Joe Mixon and Alvin Kamara, because for years I've told people rightly that running backs die at 26. Well, this new breed is going to last a little longer, and more importantly, they're going to be devalued enough when all the sexy new young people come in, like Akash's age, coming in and taking over the league. Get Akash. Would
you rather have a 24 first or Joe Mixon?
24 first.
Oh, yeah, that's not even close.
Yeah.
All right. Would you rather have the 23 110 or Joe Mixon?
Still the 110.
I don't want Joe Mixon.
Good.
You couldn't give me like
if we're looking at like this is like Connor or Lenny last year, where early second prices. It's okay, but no first rounder. Do not pay a first rounder for Joe Mixon. Same thing with Kamara.
No.
I don't know if I would give it a 206 for Joe Mixon.
I give most.
I think that's around the point where I'd start to lean towards Joe Mixon, maybe like 204-ish. I don't know. But yes, definitely
multiple seconds.
He reminds me of Shady McCoy, where Shady McCoy just saw like a complete steep drop off of production because efficiency was so low, and Joe Mixon's efficiency has been terrible this year outside of one game.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's something where
I'm not appreciate an asset. I don't like. They're in a pass heavy offense, and he still can't be efficient.
Oh well, breathe.
Yeah, I don't want to. I'm not looking like to go out and buy him by any stretch. So if someone comes knocking on my door, like looking to get rid of him, and I can get him for like a mid-second, then I'll like
give me the 206.
I'll choke it down, and I guess I'll take it if I want to compete and have a running back. But
I think I'd rather have Mixon to be honest. I'd rather
hold on. I got to defend Shady. While Chase is over here talking shit about him, mind you, Shady didn't fall off until he was a 30-year-old man. And had just stripped off multiple seasons of 1,500 yards, 2 seasons in a row. So don't you be talking bad about Shady.
Yeah, I think I would be leaning Mixon there as well. I probably could be talked into it if they added a little bit more on the 206 side, depending on what I had. But I mean, even at 206 in this draft, it's still, I don't know what running back you're going to get that's going to walk in the door and start. You know, I mean,
I see the vision. I was in a mock and at the 206. This might not happen when you have an actual like players listed out, but like at the 206, I ended up getting like Michael Mayer. Maybe he's more of like an early second, late first in an actual draft. But there's also some other running backs who definitely could last through the 206 who are some solid values. Like it's a lot up in the air right now, but there's guys like Miller and Evans and Tucker. I don't know.
Bye, Shane. I mean, bye, Chase. what the hell?
Okay, so
I gotta go too. But real quick, Jamie wanted to know Watson for sure, but AJ Brown or Bijan, you got to go Bijan there, my friend. And I got a bit to do.
All right, real quick. DJ Chark, Alan Lazard, Jacoby Myers. You ready for any of them? You want any of them?
Jacoby, hell yeah. I love Jacoby.
Jacoby. Shane?
I want DJ Chark. Go ahead. Shane, go ahead. Like, get out of here. Like, give your outro real quick.
Hey, I'm Shane. Shane is the worst. Check me out on Dynasty Trades in 5 Tuesday streaming and when we release videos. And if you want to pay me to do your roster reviews, me and Scott Connor do them. So hook it up. And on Dynasty Trades HQ and writing for DLF. Yeah, I can say that because I wrote 3 articles for him this month after not writing any for 6 months.
18 days into the month and you've already wrote 3 articles.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing a weekly, John, and I mean to stick to it this time, not making it every 3 weeks like I did to them last year. Anyway, I love everyone, and I'll see you around. Bye.
Appreciate you, Shane.
See you, Akish.
Come on, bro. What?
Akish, I love you, man.
Akish.
Fuck off, bro.
It's so bad.
All right.
So bad.
Because you said that, I will argue with you about DJ Chark.
There you go. Let's do it.
He's the wide receiver version of Irv Smith. He sucks. He had a 13% target share this year and a 16% target rate.
Yeah, but he had high value targets. Like his target premium was significant. Like, all right, so I understand. Like,
okay, if you're in a best ball league that's dynasty, go fine. 3rd round, maybe you can go trade for him. But other than that, he's not worth having on your team.
Wait, why?
So volatile.
What do you mean he's not? He was not volatile whatsoever.
But I think he's, I think truly
on the season,
it's going to depend on where he ends up as well, because I don't think he ends up back in Detroit.
He ended on the season. He had 9 points per game. And when I say volatile, I mean, there's some spike weeks where he had like a long touchdown. I remember against Minnesota or something like that. But on the season, he just was not a viable producer. And that's with running 80% of the routes. Like, he was a consistent player because Jameson Williams was brought back really slowly. And so he he missed some games, like just totally missed them. But when he actually played, he was a very consistent route runner for them. But he just doesn't earn targets. He's never been a guy who's like, he had one good season in 2019 where he was barely inside the top 24. But other than that, it's just nothing fantasy relevant. It's like it. And then he's 26. It's whatever. He's not going to give you anything really fantasy relevant. Like, if I can cash out, get a 3rd on any team that's not best ball, and like I don't want the wide receiver, like maybe usable weeks. If I can go get a running back dart throw, I'd take it out over DJ Chark.
So here's the deal with DJ Chark, right? He came back from a significant injury. He's been somewhat injury prone to an extent. But like for me, I don't think you can get anything for him. So, like, what do you think you could get for DJ Chark? So I was checking.
What would you get for him if you're the one that's liking him? What would you?
Well, I wouldn't try and acquire him. Mine is more towards like a hold. Like, I like him as like a hold option if I have him, because he does give me weeks as like fill in. Because although he might finish like as a wide receiver 50, he was 2 points outside the week that he finished as a wide receiver 50. He was 2 points away from finishing as like the wide receiver 28 that week. So like it was just a jumbled mess in that little point scale area. So I understand, like he offers you without having to pay up essentially, or without having to decline significant trades. He's somebody that offers you points when you need fill-ins in your flex, especially for like the deeper leagues that play like 3 flex guys or whatever the case is. So for me, DJ Chark, like it's not like I'm trying to go out and acquire him, but I was looking at the trade charts the other day and I saw him going for like Brightwell, for example. Like, I'd much rather have DJ Chark than Brightwell. I'd much rather have DJ Chark than like a Malik Davis, which is essentially what he's fetching, is like these guys that are on the back end of rosters that are hopefuls in terms of like, hey, let's see if I can find the next niche guy. But Chark is going to get you those points that you need in the weeks, and he's not going to cost you anything. typically late third round picks, they might start 1 week for you over the course of like 5 years before you drop them off your roster. I'd probably have a DJ Chark over a late third or a fourth round pick in Dynasty, which I think is what he's going for.
Yeah, I was a
I've seen him
huge
right
DJ
now
Chark.
as a.
Go ahead, Akash. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I mean,
I'm seeing him right now as like a 13, 14 in startups, and I don't know, like that's where he is on keep trade cut, and that's the range where you're still drafting some usable running backs. Like, but yeah, if it's like Brightwell.
So for keep trade cut, who's in there? I'm just curious.
I just searched his name, but like
Yeah,
in the 14th
round,
round
13,
of yeah, I can scroll.
So,
real quick. You can
the other thing too is like Jameson Williams.
6 point.
Yeah, Jameson Williams is probably going to take over a significant amount of snaps next year, and he's going to take over a big portion of that role. But I think that when they line up who they want a wide receiver, I think we're going to see a lot of Amon-Ra St. Brown, of course, which is obvious, a lot of Jameson Williams, and then DJ Chark is going to be on that opposite side. So there's a good chance that DJ Chark is actually going to be facing the third corner on that team that is also going to the defense is going to be cautious about the receiving game as well. So for me, I mean,
It's a second
DJ
corner if
Chark-
he's lined up outside, right?
It depends. Like, so for example,
But he could
Chris
also
Harris-
walk. I could see him not on the Lions.
Yeah, he could walk. He definitely could. No, they're going to pay him. They're going to give him like $5.8 million or $6.7 million, somewhere in that range.
With Jamo coming
he'll
back?
stay.
I don't know. Okay, so the guys
They have,
around
dude.
him,
They have so much cap space. They have like a limited amount of cap space right now.
Yeah. The running backs around Chark's value right now are guys like Jalen Warren, Damian Harris, Michael Carter, CEH, Foreman, Hubbard, Spiller, your guy Gainwell, and there's some wide receivers around him as well that are also like med dart throws, like Renfro and Curtis Samuel and Alan Lazard.
They're like probably. I mean,
Brandon
a lot
Cooks
of
is
those
lower.
dart throws. Really, Brandon Cooks is lower than that. That's kind of
Which
shocking.
I don't think that would happen in a real league just because he has a lot of better history of production. That doesn't feel very realistic.
Keep trade cut is a little bit far fetched based on what people just click to get through.
It gets a little reactionary. I've got the habit of just clicking. I don't know these players. If it could be like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and
a lot of people
Justin
just click the top
Herbert,
option.
I don't know these players.
So yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
they filter it out though. Like the way it's built. Like this is maybe it's off topic. I don't know if you guys want to discuss this, but
No,
it is
you're good.
random what order. It is a random what order. So if you have people randomly clicking, you're gonna have it randomly. You're gonna have it distributed evenly.
I didn't know that.
People clicking randomly, so that it pretty much gets filtered out. Like if you have a bunch of people randomly clicking to keep like Herbert over to randomly keep Deonta Foreman over like Justin Herbert or something. One, they do that on purpose to weed out guys who just randomly tap. And two, you'll also have that outweighed by people who are randomly clicking in the opposite direction.
Any interest in Devin Singletary if he hits free agency?
No.
Actually, Akash,
not
I should
really.
ask. I should ask real quick. Do you have a few seconds like to just ramble through a few things?
I
Like
love
while we're
rambling.
live. All right, cool. I had a couple different players that didn't make it onto the show sheet. So, by the way, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm hijacking the show, Jay.
Yeah, you're good, brother. You're good.
So Jay, for those who don't know, Jay is actually going to be taking over as the host of the show for Fantasy Intervention throughout the offseason and most likely into the future. I'm very excited for Jay to take on this role. Me with Trophy Smack, it's been absolutely nuts. It's been crazy with how busy we've been. And the roles that I've been taking on with Trophy Smack have kind of pledged me to have my priorities in other places compared to where I was when I was able to do this during the day and then bartend at night. So Jay is going to be helping me out and pretty much taking over the shows, to say the least, and possibly taking over the whole program. So if you're interested in co-hosting with Jay on the show, if you're interested in becoming a guest, please hit up Jay because he would love to see you guys. But
That's
go
what I
ahead.
did. It's awesome. You guys should do it.
It's fun, man. It's so much fun.
It is a lot of fun. Absolutely.
Especially when you don't have to be like that prepared. So
You're
go
like
ahead.
you got I don't know, how do I say this? It's a compliment, but you're like Josh Allen in that you're really good a lot of times, but sometimes you say that one thing that just sparks discussion where I'm like, what the heck are you thinking, man? But you're
was
really good.
when you brought up the earlier and Akash went off. I was like, oh shit, I'm fixing to have a fight on my screen. This is going to be awesome.
I've actually gotten into that, and if I was better prepped in terms of, once again, I'm so busy freaking with the trophy smack. I'm sitting there, I'm walking my dog. I have jets going overhead earlier, Akash. I have jets going over my head. I'm walking past this thing where they're grinding down trees. They're cutting off tree branches, grinding them down. I have Fantasy J sounded like he was in a car wash, and I'm still trying to talk to him because that's the only chance I had to talk to him the whole entire freaking day. It's literally like it was chaos. And by the way, my phone does not work when it like normal headphones, like it only works on speakerphone. So I was having to do all this on speakerphone. It was chaotic. That's how busy I've been. But
wait. Then he says, call me back because so I do. I get off, I unplug my phone from the truck. So I get off of the Bluetooth, right? I call him back, have him on speaker. Everything sounds good. And he's like, hang on, I've got a jet going over. Like you couldn't hear anything but the jet going over now.
So let's go ahead and let's jump into some of these players just because I feel like we're obligated to talk about them. Like Mecole Hardman hasn't done shit since being brought into the league. Paris Campbell hasn't done shit since being brought into the league outside of this past year, which was arguable. Meanwhile, we have like a N'Keal Harry. Okay, we have I'm just bringing up some of these random lower names that haven't done shit so far. Sterling Shepard. Is there any one of these guys? Greg Dortch is interesting. Are there any one of these guys that you would actually invest into to be on your fantasy teams? Like, would you trade a third or a late second for any one of these guys? And if so, which one is your favorite?
No.
What is that?
With love, no.
See, I have done that, so I don't even know how to do it, but
I do love the Greg Dortch though. I mean, when he's had the opportunity, he's at least in PPR, he's not getting the yards, he's collecting targets and
he doesn't really collect. He accumulates. I don't know how he does it.
He accumulates.
I don't know how. I don't know why.
Hey,
somehow, some way he.
Gosh, people go into the Hall of Fame being accused of accumulating.
Yes.
So, I mean, I'm fine with accumulation.
Well, the accumulation that he does is less so of like the Emmitt Smith version where you play for 20 years and more so of David Montgomery somehow getting 250 carries a year and finding his way to 1,000 yards.
Well, that's his
type of accumulation.
When you have the quarterbacks of Trace McSorley and who was the other one that they ended up with? David Blau.
And Colt McCoy.
When you have the receiver go, basically running 4 yards on every route, that's the perfect receiver for them.
Basically, a running back. Running back, Greg Dortch.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to bring up a few running backs. Speaking of, for you that have been hidden behind better talents or more superior players, but have showed flashes. Dontrell Hilliard, who's turning 28. Here shortly. God, it sucks he's turning 28. I love that.
I know he's a good pass catcher.
He's also explosive. Like he's efficient. Everything he does, like he was on a pace. All right, so I don't know if you know this, but I created something called the dose score, and I didn't have time to keep up with this year. I got to like week 8, and I fell apart.
That's the receiving one, right? I love that one.
Yeah, where it measures the ability for defenses to contain the receiving backs, and it also measures how receiving backs perform up against defenses. So Dontrell Hilliard broke my model for like 6 weeks or 5 weeks. I couldn't it literally outweighed everything because he was so hyper efficient. And then Dare Ungumboale had his one game. I didn't take him off. But Dontrell Hilliard is just so efficient across the board. So Dontrell Hilliard.
He's getting some easy looks though. His rushing yards over expected per carry is only 0.3. So like you see the 6.6 yards per carry, but he has 6.3 expected yards per carry.
Yeah, it's a lot of draw plays, a lot of open gaps.
Yeah.
And then like Jermichael Hasty, we have Justice Hill. We have, let's go with Ty Johnson here, maybe Deion Jackson. Is there anybody that I've named
$9
that you're actually interested if he changes like teams? Like, if he ends up on a team like Miami Dolphins this past year where they ended up acquiring Raheem Mostert, and all of a sudden Raheem Mostert shot up the board from like a 18th round pick or 20th round pick all the way up to like a a late single digit round. Like, is there anybody that interests you that I named, or anybody off the top of your head, like a Justice Hill or somebody like that
Would you-
could?
Mostert is an interesting one because I think he's a little different because he was lead back in the past, at least for stretches of the season, while he fought through injury, and then he got hurt with a pretty bad knee injury at the age of 30, so people just fade him down the board. But
would you add like a Samaje Perine to that same list?
Marlon Mack.
Yes.
I mean, I think I'd rather have Samaje Perine just with what he's done when Mixon was out. I mean, you're talking again about
he's a fantastic handcuff.
Yeah, 27-year-old, running back, but I don't think he's had a ton of usage either, right?
He failed in Washington.
Yeah, he did. Well, Samaje, I don't know, is he a free agent?
Yeah,
because I would love to see him. I would love to see him just continue to be a high value handcuff. I think that's a great situation for him.
Yeah,
and it's fine if he's yeah, and then if he goes somewhere and gets hype, if someone's actually projecting him to be have a role in a committee, then I would look towards selling him. But I'd be absolutely fine if he just stays as a high value handcuff, because when Mixon's out, he's definitely a plug and play guy, and that's the kind of guys I want to roster, where if someone goes down there, a plug and play guy, which is why all those guys that you named are guys that I'm interested in having at the very end of my bench, especially in dynasty leagues where you have 20 bench spots. There's plenty of those and plenty of running backs to stash where it's just you're looking for just usable weeks out of them, and that's absolutely fine with me.
Honestly, I could go all day on the wide receiver position, but I don't want to do that to you. So the end of the day lesson for you is stash more running backs in dynasty than you do wide receivers. Running backs end up having a significantly more impactful decision when it comes to the later rounds of your week-to-week playoffs than wide receivers do, unless you roster DJ Chark. With that being said, let's get out of here.
I remember, this is a funny story, real quick. Last year, I think it was around March-ish, but Sanderson was talking in the Bulletproof Discord about how, no one cares about Jerick McKinnon resigning with the Chiefs. And
that was me. I did that to Jacob.
And he's talking about how he turned into Jesus Christ himself, CMC, while he was in the playoffs when Edwards-Helaire got hurt. And I go out and I'm like, yeah, that's real. I go add Jerick McKinnon in every league where he was available. I traded thirds for him. And then, yeah, that's what happens when you just stash those guys.
Jerick McKinnon is an athletic freak, and
oh yes,
they
the LaDainian Tomlinson comp is real.
I didn't go that far, but
well, that's what player profile had.
It is. Yeah.
Actually, of all the running backs that we talked about, we missed one where they are free agent and they're someone who is very undervalued right now, just because they probably end up with a role, is Rashad Penny.
No, who's going to pay him?
27 years old.
He's very efficient. He's going to end up with a role somewhere.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't bring him up is because he is still, at least right now, from what I've looked, he's still injured.
What?
You know where he's going to go?
Atlanta.
He's going to go to the Texans.
Oh my. Yes.
Because of the whole corollary where the team signed players that beat up on him. And what was it, at the beginning of the season or the end of last year? He absolutely destroyed the Texans.
Last year. It was this year that he destroyed the Lions. And so what if you let Jamal walk? What if you let Jamal walk?
That is good. That is good. But I think he's going to go to the Texans because the Texans have excess spending. I think that they're going to bring Jamal. They're not going to let their they might, but
Jamal's a fan favorite. I agree.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to let him go. It's not going to be like a LeGarrette Blount situation where they let go their top touchdown scorer for the Patriots and let him walk to a different team. I think that happened, right?
He tied. Did he tie or break? He broke the record for most touchdowns scored by a Lion in franchise history, right? Barry Sanders broke. Barry Sanders had 16. He had 17.
He had 17. Awesome. He broke.
That's hilarious.
But it's the offense, man. It's the offense running over there.
Absolutely.
Daryl Bevel and all those guys. So
right.
Yeah. Who? By the way, I think he said he's not going to go to the Jets, or somebody else was trying to interview him and he's not going.
Bevel or
was it Bevel?
Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson or Deuce Staley?
No, I think it was Bevel.
Their
staff.
is like the epitome of what fantasy intervention was when we had all those stars like that.
Yeah.
We're out on up and emerging like program, and we're doing all this crazy stuff, and then all of a sudden like everybody poaches us, like because Deuce Staley's getting interviews, Daryl Bevel's getting interviews, Ben Johnson's getting interviews. Their defensive coordinator just announced that he was getting an interview today. Like so. Like it's literally like the epitome of where fantasy intervention started, where it was just like an entire like just star-studded cast that's getting torn apart because the Lions don't want to pay anybody.
And the Jets keep doing Jet things and go and hire or go and interview Hackett. Great job, guys.
They did? I didn't even see that.
They didn't hire. They interviewed Nathaniel Hackett today for their OC.
I mean,
job.
we can only hope that he's probably better as a coordinator than he is a head coach.
Was it you that said that on the thing? Somebody said that today.
The Peter principle?
It may have been Keith Fleming that actually said it. He was like, the difference is as a head coach, he's got so much more responsibility. He was a decent OC in Jacksonville, when he had Fournette and all that, and then he was at least serviceable, too good, when he was in Green Bay. So. He just taken on the responsibilities as a head coach. Just probably wasn't for him. Maybe he should be.
Yeah, that's the Peter principle. That's the Dan Quinn thing, where he's a phenomenal defensive coordinator for the Seahawks. He's our head coach for the Falcons, and he was like they had some good offenses with Kyle Shanahan, but overall the coaching wasn't where it needed to be, and you saw those blown leads over the course of multiple years. Clearly a coaching thing. Everyone's calling for him to go. He gets fired. He's a defensive coordinator for the Cowboys, and he builds them up to a top 5, top 10 defense.
Yeah, there's only one blown lead that Atlanta cared about, though.
Yeah, I mean it was absolutely awful. Like years and years. Like there was just like every single year there was like so many leads where it was looking bad, but. There's definitely one that sticks out for sure.
It was the year after I think they ended up losing like 75% of their games came when they had a lead, or losses came when they had a lead. So anyways, hey, let's get out of here. Let's get off the live stream. Yeah,
let's get Akash to class. He's got class in a couple hours, so we got to get him to class. So
something like that.
Akash, tell
homework
everybody.
To do actually. I've not started any of my classes yet, but I still have homework to do tomorrow.
All right, well, let's get you off of here so you can go do that. Let's let everybody know where they can find you.
Yes, I'm on Twitter at YZR_fantasy. I'm verified, which means I'm great. So you should go follow me. And yeah, that's pretty much all I do for now. And if I ever start doing more stuff, I'll announce it on my Twitter.
Absolutely. Chase, let them know.
Oh man, we're over there on playerprofiler.com. You guys can find us on the Roto Underworld Radio over there on Friday nights. We have like 2 weeks left for DFS, where we have won people a sick amount of money. We messed up last week a little bit. We told everybody not to invest in the 49ers Seahawks game outside of DK Metcalf and Christian McCaffrey. That was a little bit rough. Oh, and I said Deebo Samuel. Jacob didn't like that take. I said Deebo Samuel. So it wasn't that far off, but I did say don't invest in Brock Purdy. That was a slight slip. Outside of that, we nailed the Cowboys game. We nailed every other game on the slate, essentially, outside of that one game, just because we didn't think it'd be as high scoring as it was. But let's go ahead and go check out over there at Roto Underworld over there on Twitter, and then at FF_intervention over there on Twitter as well. And then Trophy Smack, baby. What you got?
You can find me right there on the Bluebird app at FantasyJ77. You'll find me here on Wednesday nights. We got the Gambit coming back next tomorrow, and then we'll do it every other week after the Super Bowl for them. But we will be here every week on Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. on the Fantasy Intervention. Akash, thank you for joining us tonight. Chase, as always, thank you, sir. For Chase, for Akash, and for Shane, who is already dipped, thank you for letting us intervene with your fantasy life. We out.